Whether your beer is in a bottle, can, or glass, kick back and relax. It's Better on Draft.
Welcome, everyone, to the Michigan series, Better on Draft, episode number 7. My name is Ken. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it again as we have continued with the Michigan series going into 2021 with the goal of still promoting Michigan breweries while we are still engaging in more national breweries. We wanted to bring in a guest, but first I'm going to go over what I'm drinking right now. A former guest from a handful of episodes ago, Parish Brewing. I've got the Sacred Islands Rum Barrel Aged Quadruple Ale, clocking in at 13%, 750 milliliters. So this is going to pretty much be my entire night as this one beer.
Lies.
Bringing in my co-host, I might as well bring in Dan. Welcome back. How are you?
Hey, doing good. Thank you.
What are you drinking over there?
Sticking with the trusty vodka soda right now.
All right. And we also have Nicholas over there. Nick, what are you drinking?
Doing how we normally do it on the show. I'm drinking the Rising Hope from Parish, and double fisting as always with Goose Island 312.
All right, not a bad beer. I think that's definitely one of those beers we kind of lose track of because it's Goose Island. It's not Michigan. It's not something that we normally drink. But we also have Wendy. How are you?
Fantastic.
What are you drinking over there?
Tonight I'm drinking a White Russian Stout from Eastern Market Brewing Company. I finally got my hands on some. It's pretty delicious. And I thought I'd pull a Nick as well tonight. I'm also drinking a Witch's Hat Altogether, which benefits the hospitality industry, which, I've been doing my part to try to give them as much as I can.
Yep, I'm still sitting. Hopefully near the end of the year, we'll be doing some gift card giveaways. I've got about $300 worth of gift cards just sitting around doing nothing. So far, though, every place that I've purchased from has not gone away, so all of them are still good to go. But the whole point is to make sure that they're still good to go by buying those gift cards. We do have a guest in our Zoom studio tonight. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us which brewery you're from and what you do there.
Hi, my name is Dennis Bennett. My friends and family call me Ben. Feel free to call me Ben. I am the production manager and brewer for Gull Lake Distilling Company in Galesburg, Michigan.
Where is Galesburg for those of you listening out of state or maybe don't know the name of the city?
Galesburg is about 10 miles east of Kalamazoo.
All right. And what does a production manager do?
Well, I'm in charge of brewing as well as distilling and making of wine. So Vinter over there. So because I wear all those hats, I guess I'm in charge of production.
All right. Well, I am going to pass it off. Rob's not here. Usually he's the one that's kind of managing the interviews. But Dan was like, you know what? I want to talk to this guy. So Dan, I'm going to pass it off to you.
Yeah, so actually, first off, what really caught my attention, you're one of those rare specimens out there that do liquor, wine, beer, pretty much everything,
Right.
Which is actually pretty impressive. Has that worked out in your favor? Are you seeing more beer than liquor, more wine? How's it been working out as far as being set up that way?
It's working out pretty good. We're recognizing some real potential as we pass wine barrels over to the distillery for finishing spirits and passing spirit barrels over to the brewery for finishing beer. So it creates a lot of opportunity for us right within our own facility to play around and blend products.
Awesome. Now, I see you only have a couple of beers on tap, at least looking at your website. I couldn't find if that was up to date or not. And the kind of beer that you have on there is pretty interesting choices, considering your only IPA that I see is a black IPA. Is there a specific style you're looking to make, or what's your thought process on the type of beers you're making right now?
Man, we're brewing on a really small system over there because beer wasn't meant to be a primary focus for us. We just purchased a small half barrel system and plug in here. So for that reason, in just short of a year since we started brewing beer, we've done about 90 batches of beer over there. So, and I think on Untapped, we have 38 different beers that we've entered into Untapped in the last year. So we're doing a lot of brewing in order to keep up with demand. But that was kind of the plan all along, was to only have 4 beers on tap because beer wasn't meant to be a primary focus for us. But the beer has been pretty popular. And as far as styles go, we've brewed just a little bit of everything over there. We've got a bourbon barrel aged imperial stout. We did a lot of wheat beer production in the summertime, and we have lately been doing some IPAs. We have a double IPA on deck right now to go along with the black IPA. Our flagship beer is Galesburg. It's a hearty blonde ale. We've been doing lagers as of late. I did a triple decoction Czech lager. We've been doing a lot of Belgian beers. So I'm just a lot of different styles, mixing it up and, trying to bring a little bit of everything.
That's awesome. I actually noticed you have a Vienna lager on tap right now, which if the menu's up to date, which is actually pretty impressive. You don't see a lot of breweries having that on maybe every so often, but it's just not a regular. Go ahead, Nick.
I was just gonna say, like, the first thing that caught my attention on the menu was the Vienna lager. On the beer menu was the Vienna lager. I'm like, how many places actually make a Vienna lager? So I and another one to kind of piggyback off of that, Dan, the Wayfinder, the Wee Heavy.
Yep, that's another one.
It's another one, yeah. So sorry, I wanted to just add to that, just bolster to that, Dan. So sorry.
You're right. You don't see a lot of those. You'll see Scotch ales quite a bit, but the Wee Heavies you don't see every too often, maybe once in a while from brewery to brewery. Now, how involved are you on the liquor side as far as the distilling goes?
I am very involved with that. I've got another helper. My good friend Mark Ludema joined our team a few weeks ago, and that black IPA that we have on right now, that's actually his first beer on tap for us. And he and I have been friends for, going on probably 10 years now, and we did some home brewing projects together. And so he's been helping out. We just kind of go back and forth. I'll do some brewing. I brewed a Irish stout that we're planning to have on for St. Patrick's Day, and he's been brewing the IPAs as of late, and English porter that we've got coming up. So he'll do some distilling, and I'll brew beer, and then I'll do some distilling, and he'll brew beer, and we just kind of mix it up so nobody's doing too much of one thing, and we both get to do a little bit of everything. So we both do just about everything there is to be done in the production area.
Now, taking a look at your spirits, I know you haven't been around for too long, so obviously you don't have any bourbon or whiskey yet. Is there plans, or is there something in the works to have your own whiskey or bourbon available?
Oh, definitely. We've been working double time this winter, and actually had a 6-month bourbon whiskey and a bourbon whiskey that was aged in a maple syrup barrel. We put that stuff on last October, I think it was, and it was gone within a couple of weeks. Wow. And then we were waiting for materials, and then we were waiting for barrels. So we just started barreling product again just after the first of the year. And now the plan is once that stuff comes out that we won't run out of it again. So we're trying to get on a production schedule. But yeah, we've got a couple different bourbon whiskey products coming out. We had a colonel in the Army reached out to us and asked us to do a bourbon whiskey for him that's got a little bit of peated malt, smoked malt in it. So we've got that bourbon whiskey coming out in June, and then our house bourbon whiskey. And we've got some 2-year straight bourbon whiskey aging right now. We've got gin in barrels. We've got rum in barrels. We've got rum in maple syrup barrels. We've got apple brandy in barrels. I think that covers it. Just about every time we run the still, we're trying to put product in barrels on the spirit side. And then we're hoping that once that stuff comes out of those barrels, that we'll start putting beer into those barrels.
Now, my next question, because I'm actually about to crack one of these here myself. I'm going to show in the camera, but if anyone's not watching, it's a hard seltzer. And I see you are making several flavors of seltzer. How has that been for you? Are you seeing an increase as far as sales of that goes with how much the seltzer industry has just exploded lately?
Things have been a little bit slow for us over the last couple of weeks when the weather got real cold. It's been a little bit slow in that we're figuring that once the seltzer catches on, that it'll take off. So it's actually been kind of nice that it hasn't gone crazy, because we're trying to figure out what flavors we want to offer. And working with our seltzer recipe, we put on a hop seltzer. So we made a simple syrup from Cascade hops and put that on. And I can't wait for summer, because it's just going to be the best summer seltzer you could imagine. It's a real great flavor. And then I went ahead and threw an ounce of our gin in that seltzer cocktail, and that just stepped it up to the next level. So lots of good stuff coming there. Our mixologists up front, they're always working on new flavors and new combinations of things. It never ends over there.
I was going to ask you too. I'm glad you actually brought up about the gin, because that's at least where I'm at. And you probably don't know, because Ken actually didn't bring it up asking where the weather is. It's sunny and 72 here in Phoenix, where I'm at right now. And something that people really like out here is to add things like the vodka or the gin to their seltzer. Is that something you've seen a lot of so far? Is that something you plan on advertising or offering?
I really didn't know it was a thing. So it's good to know, because I'll mention that to our people and see. I would imagine it probably will be. I guess I thought it was my idea to throw some gin on the hop seltzer. So we haven't seen much of it, but I'm sure it's coming.
For me,
Awesome.
sorry to interrupt, Dan. For me,
Go for it.
a couple years ago, when seltzer slowly started walking into the industry, and you just basically had White Claw. That was really the only one that was out there. I loved mixing a nice, easy to drink gin in the seltzer. Alcohol on alcohol is always good. So adding that faint, and I drink nowadays. I can drink gin straight, and as long as it's good gin, I'm okay. Like Arbor Distilling has an amazing gin that I like. But when you guys are making drinks, you're actually selling cocktails to go in like growler form. How did that transpire? Was that part of like the new law that came out last year with the giant 15 law tie bar that came out? And what are people's feelings about trying to take alcohol home like your premixes?
Yeah, it kind of seems to come in waves. I'll see a bunch of, we're doing most of those in howlers. I'll see a bunch of howlers go out the door. They're doing our Bloody Marys go out in howlers, and I saw some seltzer go out in howlers. And then we'll sit there. I won't see any howlers go out for a while. So I don't know what drives that, but it has been a thing. And it seems like just about everything we have on the menu can go out in a howler.
Yeah, I was there a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, I believe. And we took a hot toddy home, and my girlfriend just drank it all up. It was like a Pringles. Once she cracked it open, she just couldn't stop it. It was just so good.
Was it
Uh,
still hot though, or what did you do?
so it was a premix, their hot toddy premix, and you do 1 for 1 with hot water.
Oh, gotcha.
So like 6 ounce of hot water, 6 ounce of the hot toddy mix, and you have a hot toddy at home.
That's awesome. Now, taking a look, you do wine too. You actually have quite a few wines on the menu. What's your best-selling wine here? Because I see quite a few. Now, I'm gonna admit I'm not a big wine person. I don't know if anyone on the show is. Like, I know port's pretty popular, but how is your wine doing as far as compared to the liquor and beer?
It's good. I mean, just the fact that we have so many products. At one point I counted 18 different products we had. And so there's a little something for everybody. Somebody shows up and looking for beer and has a couple beers. They might finish with a wine, or I start out with cocktails and finish with beer. So we did really well with our fruit wines last year. We did strawberry, blueberry, and cherry wines, and we were playing around with back sweetening those with Michigan honey. That port wine was it was finished dry, and then it was back sweetened with Michigan honey, and then it was fortified with our apple brandy, and that's a real nice product. So the fruit wines went over well, and then we tried to get our hands on some grapes to make some wine from grapes, and we just kind of missed out on the harvest last fall. But we did some wines from concentrate, and then made some acid adjustments and some tannin adjustments, and barrel aged some of those wines in barrels that were locally sourced. And we had an oak Chardonnay that was really nice. It was in a 3-year-old Michigan white oak barrel with a light toast, and we've got corn whiskey aging in that barrel right now. We did an Italian Forza in a heavy toast Michigan white oak barrel, and we hear good things about the wine, and it's just nice that we have that to offer. And it just it's like everything else, it'll be hot for a minute, and then something else is hot for a minute. So the fact that we have all those products allows us to have that flexibility.
Now, Wendy, I think you have the next question.
Yeah, so I'm interested. I'm a huge history buff, and I noticed that the building that you're in used to be the Galesburg Theater and Bowling Alley. How did that come about that you ended up there?
TJ, the owner, was looking at Richland as a location for the distillery originally, and then I think the building he was interested in, sold out from underneath him. So he went back out searching again, and wound up here in Galesburg, and it's a real interesting space. There's not much we could really do to bring back the movie theater, but the bowling alley is still pretty intact. It would take a little bit of money, but we go up there and after work is done, and we'll bowl a few frames up there. But it's pretty dark, and there's quite a few cobwebs up there right now. But I'm really hopeful that someday they will renovate that, and we'll be able to play around up there.
Considering that it was such a big part of the town there, I think I read somewhere that everybody was a pin setter
do
at
some
some
distilling
point or another.
and he'll brew.
Did you get a lot of support from the townspeople about to open it up?
Yeah, they've been really really good for us. I yesterday morning I had a meeting with Zoom meeting with the Rotary Club, and man, they just they love it. They had so many questions after I made the presentation, I was on with them for 45 minutes, just one question after another. They love the history. They love the fact that we have so many products to offer that we're sourcing locally. The perception it's been really good.
That's fantastic. I'm also a really big art fan, so I loved all the pictures that I've seen of the different art stuff that's going on, and I really love the logo. Is there a story behind it?
Um, I don't know much about the logo other than I think they used a corn cob for that Zeppelin as a model. So, but that's something TJ worked on, for a couple of years to come up with. And, I wish he were here with me. I'm sure he'd have something to add there. You'll have to stop in and chat with him sometime. I'm sure he'd love to fill you in.
I definitely want to step in. I'm super excited about it. Um, I sorry, my internet went out for a minute. Did they ask you about any plans to distribute at all?
It has come up in conversation. I think we're a little bit early in that. Just while we go through and perfect our recipes. So we're still working on our processes, being that we've only been open for, just under a year. We're, our spiced rum and our, the horseradish vodka, the gin. Our gin started out was really, it was really almost a little bit too balanced. We really started pouring the juniper in there. We were just, there's so much going on with the gin. We had to bump up the juniper in order to bring it up front with the other 6 or 7 ingredients that are in our gin. It was just kind of a little bit too balanced. This last batch that we have now, I got the thumbs up from Lindsay, TJ's wife, because she's a gin drinker, and she says that's the one. So we're probably going to stick with this recipe we have. We working with our spiced rum to try to bring some color to it because it's a clear product. It's not barrel aged. So trying to bring some color to it. It had great flavor, but it didn't have a whole lot of color. So this latest batch brought some color to it, and it's really I packaged that today. It's really a nice looking product, as well as polishing. When I started distilling for them, TJ told me, he's like, everybody's filtering. I'm like, really? So much today seems unfiltered. And I kind of pushed back on them, really hoping we would leave our spirits unfiltered. But we more or less had to. I mean, our products they had good flavor, but they weren't great to look at. And now we've started filtering, not so much to remove, off flavors, because we're real fussy about our cuts and, collecting hearts and, putting out good products, but polishing those products to bring a shine to them has really brought our products to the next level. The flavor's still there, but now they're real pretty to look at. So what was the original question there? Sorry.
It was whether or not you were planning to distribute.
Oh, distribution. Yeah. I think maybe in the future, yes. After we know what we have is good enough for distribution.
Okay.
Sorry to draw that out on you.
No, it was a good response. I liked it. So what is your favorite? I mean, you seem to be doing a little bit of everything, which is not a bad thing. But what is your favorite thing to do while you're there
Oh man.
besides bowling?
Besides what?
Bowling.
Oh yeah. Bowling is fun, but gosh, That's a really tough question for me. You know, when Mark and I are trying to figure out who's going to do what at the, in production for the day, I'm like, I could do any of those jobs. I love brewing beer, distilling, packaging, filtering, wine. Somebody brought us a drum of clover honey. It looks like maybe we're going to try to do some mead. Man, the time just melts away when I'm there. I love it. Love every aspect of it. So I don't have a great answer for you. I'm there. It's a lot of fun to be in that place. There's just so much potential, so, and maybe part of that is because it's new to me. It was refreshing to do some distilling, because I brew sessions to brew that beer, and I can't imagine how many hours it took to do it, but it was that was a real learning experience, and that beer just turned out so good. But it took a little bit of life out of me, brewing that. So, but yeah, all the jobs, I'm just happy to be in there working.
And what is your favorite? What do you have on tap right now that would be your go-to? I know that Mark's got some beers on over there. I don't have as many options, but what the beer I'm looking forward to, because it's not on tap right now, but it's on deck after the Vienna Lager, which is a wonderful beer, is going to be a Schwartz beer. So a dark lager. You just got Ken's attention.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I was sad to see a Little Peace and Quiet go. That was the triple decoction Czech lager. I had been sitting on a 5-gallon recipe to brew that at home for a couple of years and never got around to it. So I scaled it up to brew it in Galesburg there, and that beer turned out really well. The Galesburg that we have on right now, our blonde ale, is really good, brewed with whole cone hops from my neighbor in Hastings. Has a organic hop farm, and we've been using a lot of their organic hops. And so Galesburg right now is brewed with Cascade and Centennial hops from their farm, and it's like super fresh, and it's really really yummy. So I guess I'd probably go with Galesburg.
Yeah, Schwartz beers, not too many people make them. I know Cedar Springs makes a really good one, as well as Perrin does. Perrin's the only one off the top of my head that I could think of that's actually distroed a Schwartz beer within the state itself. There might be another one, but I might be wrong. But I know Nick has a question for you.
My mute button didn't freeze that time because I thought I was actually going to get kicked out of Zoom there for a moment. So, all right, I want to start off with an unrelated question. You like bowling? What's your average? I want to start off with something informal first. What's your average right now?
It's been the bowling alleys were closed.
Yep.
So it's been a while since I went bowling, but when I bowl, I'm normally drinking.
Yep.
I start out and I'm a terrible bowler, and then I have a couple of beers, and then my game, and then I can't miss, right? And I'm good for about a game or a game and a half, and then it just goes right into the toilet.
So, I feel like bowling is right up there with cornhole and darts, where there's this like huge apex where you do really good at some specific toxicity, but the second you pass it, it's just a drop right down of capabilities. When you're, I could tell you how many times that I have bowled, where like I could see like that you could tell when you're a bowler too, because it's usually that second game is your best game, because by the time the third game's over, you've been doing this for 3 hours and you're done and you want to get the hell out of here.
4 hours if you're in my league, Ken. You know that.
Yeah.
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 Continue, Nick. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's all good. So when I first pulled up your website, I talked about, the thing I called Wendy was about the art of the bottles. That caught my attention. But as I was looking at the different kinds of spirits that you provide, you had mentioned it earlier, and that is the horseradish infused vodka. That caught my attention. Talk to us about that. What made you decide to go with something in my, something like that, and make that available to your customers? What was the inspiration behind it?
Yeah, that was all TJ. I thought he was nuts. He's like, got horseradish vodka. We got to do horseradish vodka. He bought me a commercial example from somewhere here in Michigan. I can't remember whose it was, but it was, it was cloudy. And I held on to that barrel or that bottle. It rode around in my car with me for probably a month before the opportunity presented itself one Sunday morning. And I made a Bloody Mary with it. And I was like, wow, that's really good. And I said, get me some horseradish. So he got me 5 pounds of horseradish, and we, distilled some vodka, macerated it in vodka for 3 or 4 days, and packaged it up. And man, it makes a wonderful Bloody Mary. I think they're up to like 22 ingredients or something like that in our Bloody Mary mix at the distillery. And man, it is just killer with that horseradish vodka in there.
It looks like it's going to be northern latitudes up in Lake Leelanau.
Yeah, yeah, that was it.
So then, focusing on the spirits, you talked about, your barreling and your aging a couple things. Is there a spirit that you haven't really made that you want to try later on down the road? Being it's, I don't know what kind of, system you have there. I'm sure you can only do so many at one time. But is there a spirit that you haven't distilled or made that you would like to try at some point in the future?
I think the one that's on my radar right now is a rye bourbon whiskey. I wasn't real sure about rye. I had Kevin out from Emergent Malting in Zealand. He was out yesterday, and we were talking about rye, because the rye that I have and have been using, I'm not sure. I've never distilled with rye before, so I don't know. Is this appropriate? He brought me a bag of his rye, and it looked and tasted just like the rye that I have. So I'm now more comfortable that I'm using a good rye product in our distilling, and I think I want to do a rye bourbon whiskey. So I guess that's what I would say that I'm excited to do.
I know for myself, I just recently moved into a house, and as part of one of my wedding shower gifts were these decanters that I get to swap the name tags. And I was a little weird about rye originally, so I decided to just say, you know what, if I'm going to go and spend money somewhere at the liquor store, get something more than halfway decent. And I've actually started liking rye whiskey or rye bourbon a little bit more than previously. So I think that's for whiskey drinkers, bourbon drinkers, I think that's going right up most right up their alley, I would think. So that's gonna be pretty cool to look forward to. Let's switch gears a little bit to, I'm not sure if it's called a brew house or a distilling house. I'm not sure what to call your facility. So your facility. We'll just talk about we'll call facility. I see you guys have food, and it looks like you have food trucks there. You want to talk about local businesses that you bring in? I'm assuming you guys have like food trucks that come around. Guessing with COVID, you probably had to do a lot of outdoor type stuff throughout the summer and into the fall. Talk about your what kind of like food programs that you guys have over there.
Yeah, they had a half a dozen food trucks that were coming out on a regular basis, and I never had a bad meal from any one of them. They were all pretty good. I wish I had a list of their names in front of me. I'm afraid to try to move off my Zoom and look at our Slack. We have a food truck Slack channel, and I could probably name off all those places. I wish I was better prepared there, but
no, it's all good. It's all good.
they, of course, people can bring food in from other places, and people brought food in from home. But the Pizza King being up in the same building we're in there, a lot of folks will get food from the Pizza King and bring it back. And there's a couple good restaurants in town. Valentina's Mexican restaurant is really good. And then recently they started doing some of their own food. They partnered with a chef from Kalamazoo, and they're working on a spring menu. We've got a little bit of construction to do to get a space ready there, and in the meantime, they've been cooking some hamburgers on the grill outside. That gets a little tough when it's been as cold as it is, because they don't really have much of a cover for that grill. So, there's some good things coming food wise there, but I think they'll probably always do something with the food trucks on the days where we're not cooking for ourselves. I think they'll have food trucks in there, cooking for us. And that's worked pretty well. That beer garden they have is huge. Our space there is huge. So parking is never an issue. Some of those food trucks are enormous, and getting them in and out of there is never an issue. And plenty of room outside when it warms back up again.
Nice. I believe, I think it was Wendy was the one that asked about what your favorite beer is that you guys brew. You talked about Bloody Marys. I'm a Bloody Mary fan. Dan loves them. Ken, I believe, I think everyone on the show, you don't like Bloody Mary? Ken's shaking his head no. Shame on you. Oh man, we're gonna have to have a talk later.
Give me my OJ and champagne and I'll be fine.
Okay.
Oh gee, okay.
Moses. Minus the Bloody Marys, what is one of the favorite cocktails that gets made out of your guys' place? What's your favorite one minus the Bloody Mary?
For me, I have been drinking gin and tonics. I guess, while we moved through and perfected our gin recipe, I was drinking gin and tonics in order to get a real taste of our gin without covering it up, because they're using our gin and other products as other cocktails. And some of those cocktails can be hard to pick out the nuances from the gin, other than like the juniper. So I've been drinking more of the gin and tonic types, or honestly, I drink it neat. I mean, I'm drinking the gin neat, the rum, the spiced rum. I mean, all of it. I find myself being a neat drinker now. So, but people love the Blue Note. That's one of our signature cocktails there. And the hot toddies have been, with the cold temperatures, they've just been going out the door one after the other. So, but yeah, I have a hard time just picking one, but I'd say probably the gin and tonic. That's kind of boring, but sorry.
No, I don't think it's boring at all. I'm sorry. Let me just say this real quick. I mean, when I go to to a wedding, for example, I'm the one drinking vodka tonics, just because there's nothing like like a good vodka tonic. When you're at a wedding and the liquor is free, so there's no. I don't think there's anything wrong with a gin and tonic. I mean, I'm not personally a fan of gin, but if it was like just regular vodka, vodka tonic, I can drink those all night. So that I'm all about that. Sorry, Ken, go ahead.
No. That's fine. Like for me, I personally don't. I don't like mixing nice liquors with any type of mixer. I think if you're gonna make a nice liquor, like a lot of people will make really good booze, like a really good gin. If when I go to Zatuna Liquor over in Rochester Hills, just south of M59 on Rochester Road, and I'm looking for a type of liquor and I'm going to spend $50-$60 on a bottle, I don't want to mix it with something else. Like that something else is going to take away from the actual alcohol itself. So for me, like when I'm looking for a good whiskey or a good gin or something like that, I want to, at worst, I want to drink it on like whiskey rocks. At best, I want to drink it neat. Um, I guess my question that I wanted to get to you is that where do you see Gull Lake in 2022? Like what's the next year of goal and objectives for the brewery itself?
I see us focusing on our barrel aged spirits, getting those back on the shelf and keeping them on the shelf. Perfecting our current product lines. We're This kind of goes back to what we were just talking about. The vodka that we have on right now is made from wheat. It's the way we distill it and filter it. It has a soft, creamy, almost vanilla-like character. Not necessarily characteristic of vodka, I would say, but we were talking about it before I left today, that it works really well with some of our vodka cocktails, like the White Russian or the hot chocolate, the spiked hot chocolate. There are certain drinks where that soft, creamy almond or vanilla that comes from the wheat really complements the cocktails. But moving forward, we're going back to the drawing board to find a way to make a vodka, again, probably distilled from wheat, but we're gonna maybe try redistilling, and then through filtering, we're gonna try to make that product more neutral so that it works with other cocktails like oh, sorry, what's the one with olives in it?
Martini.
Martinis. Yeah, we want to make some martinis, but TJ isn't comfortable that our vodka that we have now would make a good martini. So that's why we're not doing martinis, because we're still perfecting those product lines. The gin, we've got juniper in our gin now. But I'm not 100% sure that gin is going to barrel age well. And I would like to have a barrel aged gin product. We may have a different recipe for gin that goes into barrels. So working on things like that, making products that are appropriate for how we're using them, not just a product that we use across the board, hoping it works for everything. We're just going to make different products for different applications. On the beer side, we're working on getting our sour beer program started. We won't be kettle souring. We'll be aging, normally fermented beer in barrels on wild yeast and bacteria for however long it takes for them to develop. And then we'll be playing around with those beers. We'll be putting them on fruit. The nice thing about the way we do beer currently is that we could take a single keg of beer and do something completely off the wall with it. We did that with our charity event, our Saison. We did a jalapeno sour cherry variant of that. We did a lemon basil variant of our charity event. seems like there was another one we did, but so we can just play around with things like that and find out what works. But our sour beer program is going to get up and running, and then we'll just work with those other product lines to perfect them.
All right. Well, as we round down the interview, we thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We didn't really ask, what are you drinking? You said you were going to grab a beer. Are you out? Did you get one?
I got one. What did I grab? It was a Brewery Vivant Ski Patrol. Ski Patrol, yeah.
Steal my beer.
Nice beer. Tell Emily I said hi.
Hello. For those of you watching on the video, of course, you can watch us live on betterondraft.tv, facebook.com/betterondraft, youtube.com/betterondraft, or twitch.tv/podcast. That is Emily Bennett, who is waving. She was she got a lot of coverage at the end of 2019 for going to every single brewery in the state of Michigan. Of course, she is a huge proponent of the Michigan Brewery Map app, which you can download on iOS and Android. mibeermap.com. Check it out. It's free for you to use, and you too can try to pull off an Emily Bennett and go to every single brewery here in the state of Michigan. I am going to go around. We're all going to ask you one final question, starting with Wendy.
So my question is, if I am coming to your facility, what do you suggest I try?
What was it you said you liked again?
I like it all.
Yeah, okay. Oh boy.
Let's pick a wine.
Let's go with a wine.
Yeah, let's pick a wine.
I would try the Italian Forza.
Okay.
While we still have it. That was an Italian dark red wine that was aged in a 3-year-old Michigan white oak heavy toast barrel. It's raisiny, it's plum, it's dark chocolate, it's rich, it's like a dessert wine, but it's 14% and it's dry, but it's a wonderful wine. That's what I would probably recommend.
It sounds amazing, and I'm coming to get that horseradish vodka. So
Sounds good.
Daniel.
Yeah, so I'm going to touch back real quick here for my last question. You were talking about being able to do different things with, like, say, one keg to try different types of styles and everything. Have you ever thought about using a beer randle to try different things with your beers? Because I've always seen those as being pretty popular. Or even maybe like firkening some of your beer, throw it into a firkin to see what you can do. What are your plans as far as that goes?
Yeah, Mark mentioned the Randall recently. Honestly, I don't really know what that is. I've heard the term, but I think anything's on the table as far as traditional style beer. Mark and I are both kind of traditionalists. That's why we named our seltzer Blasphemy. We kind of fought that for a while, and then we're like, well, let's give them what they want, and then I said, well, okay, I'll do seltzer as long as we can have a hop seltzer. So, but otherwise, I like the firkin idea. So yeah, traditional type beer things, I think, is something that, a way that will go with the beer.
Awesome.
Nicholas.
All right. One of my favorite questions I love to ask all of our guests is the guilty pleasure beer. It's some beer that is in your fridge or may be in your fridge that is a guilty pleasure. What is it?
My guilty pleasure is Bell's Amber.
Good beer.
Nice.
Our the American Amber that we have on from time to time at the distillery is called First Kiss, and that was kind of my gateway into craft beer. Was the Bell's Amber. So I love the style, and it's kind of a mix between Munich malt and caramel malts. and it started out where the caramel malts, were more in proportion than the Munich malts, but that's kind of switched gears over the last couple of years. Now it's a little heavier on the maltiness, a little less caramel. But I love playing around with that style, and that's my guilty pleasure is American Amber, and Bell's makes a great one.
There you go.
All right, that is going to do it better on draft the Michigan series. Ben, Dennis, whatever you want us to call you, we will call you, and we appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much for giving us all this information about Gull Lake. Go check them out, Galesburg, Michigan. Not too far off the freeway in the little downtown area of Galesburg. I was there a week and a half ago, and definitely ready for you, especially in the summer. Lots of space in the summer, so don't worry about that. So when you're making your trip, use that Michigan Beer Map app and go for it. That's going to do it. Thank you. No matter what you think of your beer, we think it's better on draft. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Peace.